On June 19, 2026, something happened that had never happened before in 81 years of Korean history. Not in 1945, when the museum first opened its doors to a nation just freed from colonial rule. Not in 1972, when it moved to the Gyeongbokgung Palace complex. Not in 2005, when it reopened in its current home in Yongsan, one of the most architecturally ambitious museum buildings in Asia. In 81 years, the National Museum of Korea had never, not once, appointed a global ambassador. Until a rapper from Ilsan walked through its doors and changed that forever. Kim Namjoon, leader of BTS, the first global public relations ambassador in the entire history of the National Museum of Korea. But here's what makes this story bigger than a headline. The museum didn't pick him because he's famous. They picked him because for years, quietly, consistently, before any camera was watching, he had already been doing the work. This is the story of how that happened. Before we talk about RM, we need to understand what the National Museum of Korea actually is, because this isn't just any museum. And that title isn't just any title. The institution. The National Museum of Korea was established in 1945, the same year Korea reclaimed its independence. For 8 decades, it has been the country's primary guardian of Korean civilization. It houses over 420,000 artifacts, from prehistoric stone tools to Joseon dynasty royal robes, spanning more than 5,000 years of Korean history. Its building in Yongsan covers 295,000 square meters, making it one of the largest museum buildings on Earth. The rise. Now look at what has happened to this museum in recent years. 2023, 4.18 million visitors. 6th most visited museum in the world. The most visited museum in all of Asia, ahead of every museum in Japan, China, and Southeast Asia. 2024, 3.79 million visitors. Still top 10 globally. 2025, 6.5 million visitors. A 70% surge in a single year. 3rd most visited museum on the planet, behind only the Louvre in Paris and the Vatican museums. The Art newspaper, which publishes the definitive global museum attendance rankings every year, called it one of the largest rises in absolute visitor numbers they had ever seen. In 2025, the National Museum of Korea passed the British Museum. It passed the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. It passed every museum in Asia by a margin of millions. This is the institution that, at the peak of its global ascent, decided the time had finally come to name its first ambassador. And they chose RM. This is the question that matters. Not what happened, but why. Why, after 81 years of never naming anyone, did the National Museum of Korea choose Kim Namjoon? Chapter 1. It started with a detour. In 2018, BTS was on tour in the United States. During a break in the schedule, RM walked into the Art Institute of Chicago, alone, unannounced, just curious. He told the New York Times in 2022 what happened next. It was like, wow, I was looking at these art pieces, and it was an amazing experience. That one visit changed everything. From that point forward, whenever BTS was on tour London, New York, Houston, Marfa, Basel, RM was at the museums. Not for PR, not for content, because he genuinely couldn't stop. Chapter 2. The donations nobody announced. What followed over the next several years was a pattern that tells you everything about who RM is. He didn't announce the donations himself. The institutions did, often weeks or months later, quietly in official press releases. September 2019. He donates 100 million won to support music education for deaf children at Samsung Deaf School in Seoul. September 2020, his 26th birthday. He donates 100 million won to the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art. Not for a gala, not for a photo op, to reprint 8 art books that had gone out of print. 4,000 copies were distributed to public libraries and schools across Korea, including remote islands and mountain regions. September 2021. He donates 100 million won to the Overseas Korean Cultural Heritage Foundation, quietly on his birthday again. This money goes to restore a royal warat, a ceremonial bridal gown worn by Joseon dynasty princesses, held at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, one of only 40 such garments left in existence. September 2022, another 100 million won. This time to produce a catalog introducing 24 Korean paintings held in museums around the world: Peabody Essex Museum, Cleveland Museum of Art, paintings that most Koreans had never seen, because they were scattered across foreign institutions. That catalog was published in March 2026, 3 months before RM became the museum's ambassador. Total 400 million won, approximately $285,000, given across 4 consecutive years, announced by institutions, not by him. Beyond the donations, something else was happening. In 2019, the Busan Museum of Art was hosting an exhibition called Space Lee Yufan. It was receiving between 30 and 50 visitors per day. Then RM posted a photo of his visit. The next day, 210 visitors, a 4x increase overnight. In 2022, at the Seoul Museum of Art, a sculpture called Horse, a 1965 work by artist Kwon Jin-kyu, loaned from RM's personal collection, was drawing 1,300 visitors per day, one of the highest daily attendance numbers for any exhibition at that museum. At the Chinati Foundation in Marfa, Texas, a remote institution in the middle of the desert, a single social media post thanking RM for his visit generated 92,000 likes. Their normal posts receive between 200 and 1,500. And here, at the National Museum of Korea, something simpler but equally telling. In 2022, RM posted a photo in the museum's room of quiet contemplation, a room housing 2 gilt bronze pensive bodhisattva statues, both designated national treasures. He also posted a photo with a small miniature replica of the statue, purchased from the museum gift shop. That miniature sold out entirely. Army, millions of them, wanted to hold the same thing he had held. The Korea Art Market 2025 report named RM one of the 20 most influential figures in the Korean art market. Not the most influential K-pop star. One of the 20 most influential figures in the market, full stop. On June 19, 2026, RM arrived at the National Museum of Korea and signed a contract with director Yoo Hong-jun. He toured the exhibition Kim Hong-do, Painting His Era, a showcase dedicated to the greatest painter of the Joseon dynasty. He walked through railways drawing the era. He was presented with a reproduction of the Daejeonjido, an ancient scroll map of the Korean peninsula, one of the most significant cartographic achievements in Korean history. The museum posted the announcement on Instagram the following day, June 20th. Their words, RM, who has always shown a deep interest and affection for our cultural heritage and Korean culture, will be participating in activities to spread the value and beauty of Korean cultural heritage to the whole world as a global ambassador. RM's response: I am so honored. I will work together to ensure the beauty and value of our cultural heritage can be conveyed to more people. When the announcement broke on June 20th, Army moved fast. Within hours, tags like hashtag RM_and MK_ambassador and Namjoon Pride of Korea were trending across multiple platforms. But what was striking wasn't just the volume. It was the tone. Army didn't react with surprise. They reacted with recognition. Right person indeed. King of culture. If he wasn't a musician, he would have been an art history professor. Fans pointed out that they had watched RM build this reputation over years, not through press releases, not through brand deals, but through consistent, visible, genuine passion. Museum visits documented on Instagram, art books recommended on Weverse, exhibitions promoted in interviews. The phenomenon Army calls Namjooning, visiting the same museums, galleries, and hiking trails RM frequents, had already created what travel guides were calling the Namjoon Tour in Seoul. The reaction to the NMK announcement wasn't surprise. It was, of course it was him. Of course it was this. One fan put it simply, nobody does it like June. Let's zoom out and ask the real question. Why does this matter beyond the headline? What this is not. This is not a celebrity endorsement deal. This is not a museum paying a famous face to post content. RM has never received payment for his museum visits. He has spent his own money, 400 million won of it, on institutions and projects he believes in. His relationship with the NMK predates this appointment by years. What this actually is. The National Museum of Korea is in the middle of a transformation. In 2023, it became the most visited museum in Asia. In 2025, it became the third most visited museum in the world. It is no longer a national institution. It is a global one. To make that transition complete, to carry 5,000 years of Korean civilization into a global conversation, they needed someone who could speak to both worlds simultaneously. Someone who understood the heritage from the inside and had the global reach to carry it outward. RM had already been doing exactly that. For years. Without a title. Now he has the title. What comes next? In October 2026, the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art opens RM X MoMA, the first public exhibition of RM's personal art collection. 200 works, drawn from his collection and SMoMA's holdings, placed in dialogue across East and West, Korea and America, modern and contemporary. In the same month, as NMK's global ambassador, he will be carrying Korean cultural heritage to audiences in a way no institution could have achieved alone. The museum that waited 81 years didn't wait because they forgot to appoint someone. They waited because the right person hadn't existed yet. Kim Namjoon walked into the Art Institute of Chicago in 2018, alone, just curious, and said, "Wow." 8 years later, the National Museum of Korea looked at everything that followed. The visits, the donations, the sold-out miniatures, the 1,300-person exhibition days, the Lakma Warat, the 92,000 likes at a museum in the middle of the Texas desert, and said, "We've been waiting for you."